Good afternoon, everyone. Trustee Fred Willie. I made my. Everyone do it right now?
Sir, may I have the privilege to the floor?
And I yield the floor to the president. The esteemed Dr. Todd.
It's always important, we got to put this in originally into the agenda, and it's always important when we're hosts at, some of our other campuses, besides main campus, to allow them to show you the business story, because they're very proud of you this morning. Sovereignty, it's their head of the front and center. Hey, we gave you an update before we start the official meetings, and we were good for that.
Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for making the trek down here on this nice, hot summer evening. Hope you guys had a nice drive. So yeah, my name is Maura Sullivan, and I am the director here. I'm also a full-time faculty member in the conservation department. I think a lot of you guys have been here before, but I will give you a little bit of this spiel anyways. So I like to think of our 4 key words that are kind of our elevator pitch of the work that we do here, and that is inquiry, connections, stewardship, and accessibility. So we work really hard to foster inquiry about the natural world with learners of all ages. We try to cultivate a culture of connection with the natural world and stewardship, and then accessibility to these experiences for all people. We have 3 staff members, so I am a full-time faculty member and I get a release time to be the director here. We have Teresa Petrozinski, who runs all of our programs. And then we have Cody Wilkes, who's our field station manager, runs all the facility of the place, which I think we have really reached a really great staffing model right now with really great people in those positions. The populations we serve are 3, K through 12. So we offer free environmental education program to about 70 different school programs a year. Many of them local school districts, from Rochester to some of our more local rural districts like Naples and Marcus Whitman and Penn and Bloomfield, as well as homeschool groups. Then our community, we host events here and we reach about 2,000 people with those events. I think I just grabbed the flyer and put it over there, but there's a flyer over there with all our upcoming events. Our next event is an insect biologist. We have one of our alumni who's a PhD student right now in entomology, and he loves this place so much. He actually reached out to us and said, "Hey, can I do an insect biologist?" And we said, "Yes." Fun thing, you know, it's at night, you turn the lights on and you just see how many moths we can get. It's pretty neat. This is the 3rd time we've done it too, so it's neat to get that repetitive data to see how things are changing. And then in addition, we have Friday walks every Friday during the academic semester. We have talks on the wild side. We have the most exciting thing to do at Mueller Field Station, if you have time ever, is to come and do a paddle. That's the best thing. And so we offer a lot of different community paddles. And then, of course, our college students. That's our kind of main audience here. We offer 2 residential classes here. So, well, I shouldn't say that. We have 2 classes that meet here. This is their meeting place. One is my oncology lab. Every Friday, students come down here, and this is their laboratory. The other is a wetland mammals class where they are here 2 weekends and they design a project. Those are the 2 classes that this is their classroom. Other classes at FLCC use this a lot for different field trips. We have also been expanding to other colleges. So right now, SUNY Genesee regularly brings their students. Cupid has brought students in the past, Brockport as well. So we're really building those strong relationships with some of our neighboring 4-year institutions who are also doing research here as well. There's a project studying the ash migration. So that's us. That's what we do. What's our update? Well, you might have noticed a new building.
Yeah.
So we have the bunkhouse. You might have come to our ribbon cutting in April. Unfortunately, we still do not have a certificate of occupancy. You might have also noticed when you walked in that pond is really low. The reason that low and the reason you don't have a certificate of occupancy yet is the dry fire hydrants out there did not work. It is an extra bonus backup supply to the wonderful sprinkling system that we have. So we are kind of fully safe. But we have that issue that the reconstruction there, we ought to wait for the pond to fill up. We're working right now on getting a conditional exception to that because we might be waiting forever. for that to fill up. So that's that. And hopefully we're going to be in business soon because I'll tell you what, it's been a long wait. So we're anxious to actually start doing what we said we'd be doing. But we have already had a few things happen that are going to help us kind of with our revenue. That's one of our strategic plans moving forward, is making sure that we're diversifying our funding sources here, and some rental fees that we can get from that will help us. So we had a big group here this weekend who were super gracious about not being able to sleep in the bunkers anymore. They are the backcountry hunters and anglers, and they said, if we can't sleep in a tent, we don't know who can. So they were very nice to us about that. But we're looking forward to continuing that relationship. And thank you, Beth, for being gracious about the department chair retreat. Hopefully we'll be able to do that as an actual overnight in the future. So those are some really exciting things happening moving forward, being able to be up and running with that. I think one K through 12 program that I'd love to highlight for you, just this week, we started this high flow program in partnership with state parks, where we had high schoolers apply to be part of this apprenticeship program. So they're spending 4 days of these 2 weeks with us, where on Monday they were with state parks up there learning about invasive species and job opportunities with state parks. They were working with our technicians, learning how to electrofish yesterday, and today they worked with the New York State Finger Lakes Invasive Species Management Program at a Hobart William Smith, met a bunch of those folks, and we had DEC here today. So they're just working with all our partners. I think it's a really great position for community colleges to be offering these high school programs that bridge them to the careers, that us maybe letting them know how Finger Lakes can play a role in that bridge. So those are some really exciting things that are happening right now. And I guess I'll also put in another thing that the Mueller Field Station contributes to from funding from the annual and Florence Mueller, is that kind of this idea that Mueller is not just a place, it's an idea about connecting students to these experiences. And we did just get back from South Africa on a wildlife tracking class, which was also pretty amazing. And the Mueller Foundation supports us greatly in that. And it was awesome. And I want to give you an hour talk on that. But I think I'm not 5 minutes. So thank you, welcome. And thanks for coming down. Hope you have a productive evening.
Thank you, Vera.
Thank you. Before we get started, you'll notice that we now have 2 laptops. Professor David Dew is working with Penny Hamilton to voice map or voice recognize our voices through an AI app, which hopefully will lead to integration into record keeping and records. So whenever Trustee Willie starts the notification planning meeting, he's going to ask you to all identify yourselves as we go around. Is that the air conditioner? That's going to stay on. Well, yes, sorry. You all know me. I'm Trustee Willie. My first meeting in my 3rd year. I look forward to having this leadership responsibility, but I'm also very, very anxiety-driven about it, because I'm following an incredible leader who did such a great job, not only in achieving development, but curriculum simultaneously. I'm overwhelmed with just thinking about one, and I haven't even started yet. So, on June 15th, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's call this Education Planning Committee to order, and have planning take the role of the committee members for this meeting on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Here. 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 Present. Thank you. Our first order of business is the minutes. I'm sure you've all had a chance to look at them. There are 15 pages of minutes from the June 3rd meeting. 7 of which, actually 6.1, if you want to measure precisely, were the Education and Planning Committee. I had an opportunity to take a little deeper look at them, reread them, and we had a report on enrollment. We had a presentation from Dr. Avitis. We had a presentation from the investigator on international enrollment, specifically the country of Vietnam. We had a presentation on adult learning and re-engagement. And we also had 5 resolutions, 2 were job descriptions, 1 was on animals, and I forget what the other 2 were. And then finally, last but not least, we had Dr. Ortiz provide a presentation on strategic thought. And that was, so that's the essence of our minutes from June 3rd. Does anyone have any thoughts, reflections, questions, comments? Concerns? Now is the time to bring them up. When you're an undergraduate in education, they call it wait time. You're supposed to give the students 45 seconds to answer your question. So since we're all adults, we'll cut that in half and call it a day. So I just wanted just a little context. I had the opportunity to have a very in-depth conversation with Donna on June 15th, just a month ago or so. And I learned a lot. I have all my notes here. And then what I did is I took my notes after I got off the phone with her. And while it was still fresh in my mind, I sent those to her. And the rest of us same person. And then she read those and sent me back. Basically, she gave me a playbook going forward. It's just filled with ideas and also the history, you know? It's really so important to know the history of a particular committee, a particular project, the personnel involved, how we got to where we are. So I entered this opportunity, this leadership opportunity with just a tiny bit of context, courtesy of Trustee Mahal. Did a great job of framing it for me. So having said that, I just wanted to get off to a good start there. And I'll go on with my minutes, or my items, I should say. So Trustee Russell and I met just a couple of days ago, and he told me that not only is the chair now, but we have a lot of new operating rules. I said, oh, wonderful. What are they? You know? So most of them are around efficiency. So presentations are going to be confined to approximately 10 minutes. And at the 8-minute mark, there'll be some kind of a reminder. It's a chicken that's going to squawk or something. I have no idea. But anyway, so we'll have 10 minutes for presentations. And then following that presentation, there'll be 5 minutes opportunity for trustees to ask questions from the staff. So if you get to know me, you'll see that I really don't, I'm probably not a good clock watcher, so I tend to bird walk way too much. And so here we go. I got you covered. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll move on to as we always do, first report is the enrollment report update from Dr. Avitis.
Good afternoon, everyone. The enrollment reports for summer and fall in your board packet reflect enrollments for those 2 terms as of July 24th. I'm going to provide a verbal update reflecting enrollment for summer and fall as of July 31st, this past Friday. So for summer, Head count for summer is, up 13.0%. And FTE is up 16.2%. And we're nearing the end of summer. Sad but true. Any questions about summer? I'll move on to fall. So again, your packet reflects the enrollment as of July 24th and as of Friday, July 31st. Head count is up 11.8% and FTE is up 7.0%. And Gemini registrations will begin Wednesday, September 16th and conclude on Wednesday, October 7th. The fall dates include full year course sections that run in the high schools from September to June as well. And you will recall that 2 years ago, we made that change. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's my question. Moving on to resolutions. We have 3 resolutions. Jason, are you?
I'm going to speak to Joanne.
Pardon?
I'm going to speak to the Joanne resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. Forger.
Good afternoon. I have Joanne Tinsley's here, but I would, as Deborah has put in the past, this is an exciting time for our employees that are in the professional association. They've went through 3 years, almost 4 years of time there at college, and have shown great success. So, as I put in the memo, Joanne has started 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I think in February. But, she is an exceptional communicator and consistently listens to and values the perspectives of others. During our reconnect window last year in the summer, we were fast and furious in trying to get the program instituted and out there. And Joanne was instrumental in helping the college be very successful in providing aid to our students. She's highly student-centered and focused on what is best for our students, and she has worked well in developing her staff of 2 to ensure all students receive responses in an appropriate amount of time. When Joanne started her staff, I think we had Julie that may have started previously, but she had to bring Tim on, and I was working with a bunch of retirees that had kind of helped to fill the need. But she's done a great job bringing her team up to speed and making sure that we service our students and are, accepting their payments, but also providing them guidance on additional aid and things. So, Joanne's a great value to add great value to the college, and I'm glad to and happy to be up here to, recommend her for administrative appointment. So, thanks, Joanne, for everything you do.
First resolution that I have today is the approval of the 2026-2027 management confidential salary schedules. It should have been in your packets. It is a 3% increase from the 25-26. Questions on that? Okay. The second resolution is the approval of non-unit employees in the management confidential group. The list of employees also is included in your board packets. HR has verified that each employee has received an evaluation and their performance, all of which were satisfactory. Questions on that?
Thank you. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda is the presentation by Dr. Ortiz about futuring and evolving pathway, FLC 2030. So this is 2026 and 2030 will be here before we know it. It's a time goes real, tempest future, time does fly. It literally does. And let's hear what Dr. Ortiz has to say about this.
Wonderful. Well, good evening and thank you for inviting me to present on Deep Roots Evolving Pathways, FLCC 2030. By 2030, the typical student may not be so typical. The learner may begin with Gemini in high school, enter full-time, shift to work, step out for family, return through SUNY Reconnect, receive credit for prior learning, move among online, iFlex, and in-person courses, and end up with an internship with a regional employer. So our challenge is not to build a separate pathway for each of our students, but rather one coherent FLCC experience that encompasses around all of our pathways. So that is the future of academic and student affairs, the whole student, the whole journey, the whole region. Also, as a reminder, Finger Lakes, our region serves as our anchor, but it is not our boundary. We are serving students and learners through online learning across the state, the nation, and the world. So for this board level conversation, the question is, right, what should be true for learners and communities and how will we measure? So you may recall in June, we left off with a presentation that showed evidence to the fact, excuse me, I'm resetting my timer. How much time am I at? 2 minutes? Okay.
That's our board secretary.
But basically, during the strategic thought presentation in June, we talked about the fact of what we know, that what we have as evidence is that our systems, our support systems are beginning to work. We talked about the reduction in DFW rates. However, at the same time, our students' journeys are becoming more complex. As we know also, part-time enrollment is driving much of our growth along with adult learners and just the more nonlinear nature of our students. So we have moved from initiatives to infrastructure, and now it is what is going to continue to guide our work. What are we becoming for 2030? So this is the future state, full student, full journey, full region. So we know that we are not only educating our students academically, we're also developing discipline knowledge, essential and durable skills, confidence, belonging, civic responsibility, ethical judgment, and the ability to keep learning. And the whole journey is not, the experience doesn't begin just when you start, but rather it carries through a plethora of different modalities and engagements with the college all the way through lifelong learning. And our region, you mentioned, that our work
is connected to the health and vitality of our region, of our communities, and the places our students call home. This includes our employers, our workforce needs. But it's bigger than that. It also includes civic life, community well-being, environmental stewardship, and cultural vitality and global awareness. So ASA, the Academic and Student Affairs Division, we are already positioned around student learning, well-being, and student success. And that's supported by inclusive teaching excellence of our faculty, quality course design, OER, high-flex assessment, and holistic student support. So we are preparing. We are preparing. We have launched many initiatives. We have established the structure, and we are now moving to full implementation. So first is building upon what is already in motion. Again, academic momentum, which we've talked about previously, is not a parallel activity, right? It is a framework that is encompassing all that we are doing in supporting our students in terms of advising, instruction, enrollment, student support, etc. We are also now scaling up our success coaching and FLCC 101 through a universal comprehensive program to monitor, evaluate, strengthen, etc. Our students' experience, no matter how they're coming into us. We are also working on an academic portfolio program health system as well, so that we are monitoring the health and well-being of our programs, knowing when we need to invest additional resources, when it's time to sunset programs, and also on the front end, when we need to bring in new programs to remain relevant and serving our communities. And one other that I would like to just point out on this is a portrait of a graduate, which actually aligns with this time frame. So that comes right in 2029. So that is also going to influence academic and student affairs as it relates to our students' expectations and how we prepare for those incoming students. So a future-oriented presentation also needs to highlight a few of the tensions, but what we are striving to do is to make it an and statement versus an or. So making sure that we have, right, we're not choosing between career academics and career preparation, right? It is college and career. Students need both. Employers continue to value communication, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, perspective taking. And these are not separate from general education. They are developed through strong general education, applied learning, and inclusive teaching. So with regards to technology and AI enabled and human led, our question, right, is how the human led college uses AI responsibly to extend personalization, access, and learning without sacrificing privacy, academic integrity, accessibility, or the relationships that are foundational to our student experience. And I believe this is the question that you have charged us to answer, is how will we know, right? The outcomes focused piece. So this is probably the most important slide for the board level conversation. Obviously, the board is not going to track every activity, but understand how we know if we are reaching that future desired state. We also need to be careful to distinguish between individual activities and the outcomes that we are seeking. So, for example, FLCC 101, right, is implementation, student participation is important, coach engagement is an early indicator, but retention, credit momentum, belonging, and completion of outcomes are the outcomes. So we are already moving in that direction. The academic momentum framework also offers us additional set of anchors and metrics. And so for 2030, instead of asking how many initiatives we launched, the question is, what are the students experiencing, achieving, and contributing? So with that, by 2030, we will know that this future is real, not because of the additional initiatives launched, but because the results are visible across our 4-county service area and our online reach. Learners can see their path. It is manageable, the cost is manageable. They demonstrate deep learning, but in a variety of ways. They remain connected to the college, even when life disrupts. They complete with less time and less lost credit. They move successfully into transfer work, civic life, and lifelong learning, and they contribute to the vitality of the communities they call home. So those are the outcomes that are guiding our work and the evidence by which we should hold ourselves accountable. And that is the question before the board. And my buzzer just rang, so I think I'm right on. For the 5-minute discussion, or up to 5-minute discussion, is by 2030, what should be non-negotiable too for every FLCC learner? And what evidence should the board expect to see along the way to know that that is becoming true? So I welcome your questions and comments.
Just a few seconds. First of all, I'm not sure we could manually go from as a board. The work this conversation resonates with me is that the non-linear, increasingly non-linear student, look at progress. It's all disrupted. So what does on-track mean? Who decides what that is? Is it the right outcomes of their student? You know, you see a lot of work is going to have to go into investment, readjustment. Also, we're just so it's a lot of stuff thrown into it.
No, it is a lot of stuff, and that is exactly some of the challenges that we recently had a visit from SUNY, from the academic momentum team. And the metrics that are in that academic momentum plan, which should be evidence of progress towards successful student success. But the challenge there is that it's all based on first-time, full-time students, which is actually a very small percentage of our overall. And we were participating in a project, Richmond Fed, that was designed to encapsulate
success for specifically community colleges, because success is different. The metrics are different. So we did bring that up to SUNY when they visited, and what they suggested is that they will be looking for additional success metrics for the community colleges, but that they started out with the first time full-time because it was the only measure that was consistent across all SUNY institutions.
So. How much of the board influence that or is there a precedent that it's
Right, well, I think that the support of the programs that we launched last year and are now scaling up in collaboration with our teams. We have a SUNY Reconnect working team. We have a credit for prior learning working team. Through our curriculum and instruction teams, we are working to facilitate this comprehensive plan by meeting each student where they are. So as far as what the board will see, or, you know, the way that we'll measure that success is through our retention, persistence, and completion. But recognizing that for a part-time student, for example, right, that length before they complete. And we're preparing for that. In fact, we're doing right now in the process of doing sample maps for part-time students, which in conjunction with our course rotation schedule will now provide the foundational information that students and advisors need to be able to say, wherever you come in, we're getting you on the path, keeping you on the path, right, and supporting you.
Exactly. So a companion thought, George's very deep thoughts. I'm going to try to just bring one to the surface. Dr. Orloff, Dr. Vargas, and yourself have alluded to this for the past, at least the past year, about the FLCC does a terrific job on marketing and recruitment and enrollment. But somehow, you know, you have a metric slip around retention. So we really gotta, so, you know, once you're inside the house, you know, it's kind of like the, you know, the Disney model, you know, once we get to there, we have so many options. We got something for everybody. So if we can think of, not that we want to Disneyfy academics, but I mean, I'm just saying that this is something that I think our committee can take a little deeper dive away from this table and really sink our teeth into some of those, and with the goal to answer some of George's questions and also to look at the goal of stronger retention. That's just one part of it, you know.
Right, and that's that there are so many variables, and that's why we have started the,
You put a million on them, I mean, it's
yes,
just like,
yes,
it's like,
it can be
you
a
know,
little
which-
bit overwhelming, but that's what we're trying to
Right,
emphasize. Is that we're not doing new things, we are working smarter and working to streamline and leverage the resources that we have. But we did supplement that with our provost faculty development initiative around inclusive teaching and learning excellence, around the online quality course improvement program. So all of these now through the universal student experience. So these three mechanisms working together is what is going to advance us so that we can meet every student where they are and take them all the way through until they are successful based on their definition of success.
Jeff, Don,
I'm just gonna express a couple of thoughts. I'm not expecting an answer or solution. I was really listening to your opening remarks about explaining what that student's gonna look like in 23. And I was thinking about the rest of it in terms of, okay, what's our role in life? What did we do? And then a couple of thoughts I had was, if this plays out the way we think it's gonna, it impacts non-academic aspects of the college. For instance, our hiring practices. You know, we need to think about who we hire in terms of professors, other people that understand this, or at least have some background and experience with this, assuming they already know their academic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The other thing is, it struck me that it's gonna require more flexibility out of us than we've been accustomed to. So it's not only in hiring practices, but it also may be in our finances and our budget in terms of doing the best we can at the time we do it and being prepared to change it somewhat on the fly.
That is absolutely spot on. You know, often we talk about student-ready institutions, right?
Right.
We talk about college-ready students, and we need to be a student-ready institution. And a lot of that are our policies and practices. And you're correct, it is the entire institution. And so we're actually in our strategic enrollment planning steering committee that Dr. Levatus and I co-lead. There are many policies that we are looking at, that we've talked, and practices that we have changed. But we have to be willing to adapt, and it is not always easy.
Yes, and the only other additional comment is that this plays into how we determine who to be a trustee in the future. Now, I'm not sure the standards that apply to me are relevant to this at all.
Yeah, the recruitment's a very good deal. I mean, as you look at higher education or K-12 institutions across the world, across the country, and there are the ones that are doing terrific work at a very high complex level, have an extremely unusual, unique recruitment process. And there's a lot of data from the private sector that could easily apply to the academic sector. Like Southwest Airlines. I mean, that story is that's a book we all should read in terms of how that organization started and what it turned into. It's the major story. Donna?
This is sort of a follow-up to everyone's comments here. One, I appreciate the fact that you thought about homework for the board. I think that puts it in perspective for us, to the record of our thoughts there regarding the holistic approach is wonderful and scary in some ways. Because every student, it seems, is
Yep.
Whatever that FTE is, that's how many cases we have. Case management of this boggles my mind. It's also a wonderful thing to be aiming for and to achieve. My concern is, it's not a big concern, but it niggles in the back of my mind here about the students who, for whatever reason, think they know what they want, or they don't know at all what they want, or they know that they want some higher education, is are we leaving enough room as we go through this for students to experiment and still call them successful without making, maybe an older adult came back thinking that they wanted to do this, and then they got through half of it and said, I don't think so, how do we not discourage people from that exploration process?
Well, I think part of this model is having success coaches for every matriculated student, and they're doing an intake to help guide them through some of that thought process on the front end. So hopefully they're getting, you know, a more interest-directed start instead of just, but then if it is not, right, that success coach will be with them their entire tenure at the institution at FLCC, so they can help redirect them while still maximizing, right, the work that they've done. So that is absolutely key, is helping guided exploration. You know, we talked about that with Student Reconnect, that these are high demand, high, right, they're family sustaining wages. So we want to make sure that students are investing their time and energies into a program that would ultimately support their livelihood and help them succeed.
Other, comments, George? Go ahead.
So back here, I'm sure based on the order. So ultimately, that's going to define success. You know, a success coach is going to be success. A lot of students that are going to get it. They're going to get a job. I mean, it's already changed. There's ways of definition of success. Or, you know, is that it's really specific, and that's why it's. And ultimately, you know, you do that in the way you cannot sign on the loan too far here, if you cannot.
Which we're not, and that sort of goes back. Every student is unique and how success is defined. But some of these metrics do hold true, right? So course level success, retention, right? So even if the student just came back for lifelong learning to take one course, you know, or for personal development or for professional development, if they successfully completed that course, that is a metric that we can use, right? Because they persisted and they successfully completed. So some of those metrics that we've been using in terms of reductions of DFW courses and also retention, you know, writ large, are definite measures that we can continue to use. But those nuanced measurements,
It's almost the open word student success. That I'm talking about.
yep,
Nobody's always along the way, but I'm concerned. The world is moving very quickly towards having. Students could start to take that. Stay with it and still show that it's successful. Come back.
right, and just like portrait of a graduate, right? Multiple measures, multiple ways to demonstrate, right, that they have met the learning outcomes. So we also need multiple measures for success. Yes.
Yes, you know, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Ortiz, thank you for 10 minutes for a very well thought out presentation. And I can tell it was successful because the questions that came out of this worked are very, very precise and are very practical. And so if I were to ask you, if we expand this into a retreat, and do you maybe help us with some AI prompts to the folks around the table who want to start to experiment with artificial intelligence? And some prompts that we can get ourselves a little more deeply involved with each problem. And get care of this work.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we adjourn the committee, may I say something? Sure, correct there. Well, I don't, but it's time's up. So, the education planning committee typically not on the second Tuesday in the morning of the month. And I always had economic development, so I was absent for 2 years. And I have responsibility. There's 3 supervisors on that committee, and I was the senior member of the 3. And I contemplated resigning, but I didn't think that was fair because I had received that appointment some 7 or 8 years ago from Mike Manikowski. And I was very involved in recruiting the incoming executive director. So I just felt some loyalty to that, but I was conflicted about this, and my wife took the brunt of it for 2 years. So I just want to say that if we could schedule in that second week, possibly on Thursday, but we'll work those details out. But I think it's really important to try to find the time in the entire community to meet, because I think we have, I mean, we've got a lot. We've got a lot we can dig into, and I just want to remind all the committee members that are here to really support the president, to support the staff, and to give them the resources they need to do the job. And it's a great formula. It's worked well here. We've got a terrific board of trustees and a dynamic leadership team. One more to the ask for. So you put the 2 together, and I think it really emerges as this is a magical place, and we want to continue to keep that mystique and that magic at a very high level. So thank you for your confidence in me, and I promise I will continue to improve and become better as time goes on. Thank you. Yes, right. I'll work it out.
If it's the point of order, you want to close this meeting?
Yes, I do. I'll move. Second.
Trustee Desmond's supposed to be education planning committees.
Jeff Estes, I second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Meeting's adjourned. Okay. Again, for the all services. Jeff Estes. It's my voice. And we'll call a meeting of the Finance and Facilities Committee to order. I'll ask Penny to call the roll. Here. Here. Okay, the first order of business is the review of the June 3rd committee minutes. They've all been distributed, and I assume everybody's got a chance to look at them. Are there any comments or questions regarding those? I think the 35 seconds. Okay, if not, Jason has any number of items here to present. But the first is the update on the operating budget and the finance report. So Jason? There we go.
All right.
Let me zoom in at all.
Good, you're-
So these are our results as of June 30th. Revenues are exceeding where we were projecting for budget, mainly because of our increase in our enrollment, as a result of Reconnect. We're also seeing an increase in our other counties. This number doesn't reflect, our summer billing that we had, which was around 1.4 million. So, that number will be, around 12.3 as I showed July results. So, do anticipate another 250 to 300,000 in our miscellaneous revenues, generating from interest income and our idle cash that we have. So, all in, I would project our 831 revenues to be around 55.5. That's the end of, as we come to 831. So. We move down to expenses, online or in line with our targets, and budget. So, for expense projections, we do have adjuncts and overloads, that did see an increase. We'll probably exceed our budgets there. I mean, because of our increase in enrollments that we saw this year, so those numbers were a little bit more elevated. So we will see a little bit of an increase there, but if I was to project expenses, we'll probably be around 54 million, in expenses. So looking to add probably approximately 1.5 million to our fund balance at the end of this year. So looking through today's results.
So on that assumption, what's the projected fund balance? For the end of-
Projected fund balance would be around 15.5 to 16 million. Restricted fund. So it does not include the strategic plan.
Yes. Okay.
Restricted.
Any questions on the budget?
I would just have, Steve Martin, I would just have a comment, that the expenses were very prudent, we're 80+% through the year, and, that's not always an easy task. It certainly makes sense on the overload and the adjuncts that you're, increasing revenue at the same time, so kudos to the entire team there. And good budget.
Okay, next, I guess Jason wants to make a 10-minute presentation on resilience and sustainability. Starting off with the fund balance.
Starting off with the fund balance. This makes this one easier, but, so, for decades, community colleges have been designed primarily to serve recent high school graduates pursuing associate's degrees, but our future will look fundamentally different and we've already experienced some of that. Success will depend on our ability to serve adult learners, workforce learners, and lifelong learners while managing our increasing financial pressures as we look at salaries, benefits, and trying to fulfill everything that Laura had just put out. And so as we look at the environmental and how it's been in changing, declining traditional age student populations, policies, funding uncertainties as we look at our federal government or state government, the impacts the federal changes have on our state governments and the funding that comes from them. Return on investment scrutinies from our students and what that looks like, how they're evaluating education and what they're gaining from it. Rising costs and inflation, how is that being impacted on our financial aspect? And then put our workforce shortages that we're seeing across in our trades and other fields in our nursing, create opportunities. So baby boomers leaving the workforce today will lead to are creating workforce shortages that maybe we can help step in and assist. So our major forces shaping the future, our demographics, enrollment behavior shifts, our financial pressures, and our workforce demands that we have in the environment. This is our 5-year trend from our fall enrollment reports. This is our reality that we're living in. Over the last 5 years, we've slightly increased our full-time FTEs, but you can see here our FTEs for part-time students is increasing substantially, 22.3%. 5-year trend in our student age, the age trend You can see our under 20 students, our traditional age students is continuing to decline, but you can see a larger increase in our above 20 students. So these are our realities that we continue to face. Projections, students of 2030, what this will look like potentially, online hybrid demands. We've met some of that online demand through our push into online a few years ago when COVID hit, and that has helped propel us forward. Our high flex classes, career focused credentials, continuing to work on that, looking at partnering with our employers. Workforce or work family balance, we've seen that shift in our students and how that's very focused on family and life. And then employment outcomes are matter. Students are looking, well, what does this education do for me and how am I going to become successful? We've talked about this, through my presentations here to the board, but our rising costs and budget pressures that will continue to face us as we look at how do we attract students? What are we doing? Is it personnel? Is it technology? What are we looking at to help our success for our students? So, our salary growth, healthcare costs, utility increases. I think over the last 2 years, we've seen almost a 31% increase in not just utility costs. Technology, cybersecurity costs, how are we combating any cybersecurity concerns as AI comes into play? What does that look like? So these are all kind of pressures that I see coming in the future. So how do we build a future ready FLCC? We need our mission center innovation. What do we do? We've been very innovative. We've leaned into AI. We've leaned into our online programs. We need to look at data. How are we making data-driven decisions? Not just, hey, what's it feel like today? How are we looking at the data to help us make decisions for now and into the future? KPIs and accountability. How are we holding ourselves accountable to KPIs that we're setting or we want to meet? How are we looking at those goals? And just making sure we're keeping up with our technology. What is attracting students? As you'll see in our resolution that I have here in the board presentation tonight, we're looking at immersive classroom technology in order to maybe give our students a different experience as they look into the workforce. We've looked at our virtual welding. It's been very successful. We've leaned into technology to help us reduce potential costs as you look at materials and waste that comes from that normal welding. The integrated pathways, something that Laura spoke to earlier, workforce programs, transfer pathways, liberal arts foundations, and student support services. What are we doing in order to ensure that we're providing our students the best path forward? We have a lot of neat things coming in our says solution that's coming, but there's a lot of other technologies that are out there that will help students be able to pick their paths and really look forward to, and we need to be able to assist them with it. What I see as success in 2030 is we're going to have a diversified enrollment. Our adult learners will still have traditional age students that are coming through, but we need to look at how does that impact what we do today. Our adult learner growth, reskilling, how are we reskilling people that are in the workforce now, but then help educate them to maybe grow. If AI is projected to take over some of the responsibilities, how are we reskilling those individuals to upskill? Financial sustainability, looking at that as far as how do we make sure that the college stays financially sustainable? Being a regional workforce leadership partner, looking at that, how are we becoming, a go-to from companies in our area across the state? How are we a leader in that? And then continued investment of our idle cash for future investment. This is something that when I came in here, I saw idle cash sitting in a savings account that we needed to turn into a higher interest yield. I can't do everything that I want to do with it, but it is something that I have to keep in, you know, a CD or a T-bill, but there could be, you know, continuing to look at that and how we invest it. So as far as the board, you know, how do we, you know, redefine our value proposition? You know, we have another strategic plan that will be coming out in the next year or two. So really thinking about how are we leaning into that to help us think about the future. Invest in our workforce growth over the last 2 years or this year, right? We've invested in more leadership in our workforce area. But how do we continue to make sure that we're partnering with our counties, Ontario, Wayne, Yates, and Seneca to ensure we're meeting their needs? We have our advisory boards that's been presented here to the board, but continuing to look at what do employers need? What are they looking for? Expand our partnerships that we have between even just our local employers, but other colleges. How can we help be a feeder system into some of the four-year institutions? And then just ensuring sustainability. The decisions we're making today, what are they looking for? How is that going to impact us 2-3 years down the road? Or even 10-20 years? I mean, some of these decisions will have lasting impacts. So the last thing I'll leave you with is, you know, I believe the future belongs to community colleges that will be intentional, agile, workforce connected, and relentlessly focused on our student success. Laura mentioned that student success is important. Retention of those students is important. I've done an analysis in that for every student we lose after the first semester or the first year, actually the first semester, it's about $10,000 of lost revenue losing that student. We have to retain, you know, that's a, you know, luckily enrollment management keeps filling that need for us as we lose that student. But imagine retaining a student, 2 students, 3 students, 150 students, and what that will lead to help us, as well as, you know, it's going to help combat our loss of traditional age students in that population. But just some numbers to think about as we look at our full-time population. Now that's over a student completing in 4 semesters, but you know, we have to, that's something to consider. So I think I'm below my 10 minutes, but I will give you some time to ask questions.
Questions, anyone? Emma?
I'm interested in the statement that you have there as I assume a goal, is to redefine the value proposition. What are you thinking of? What's our current value proposition? I'm not sure I could get that answer at this point.
I could.
Okay.
You all have it. It's the mission and vision of the college are a form of a value proposition. Whether or not that's still valid would be something to consider. You know, to create a dynamic learning resource to support the vitality of the community and help our students succeed. That's generally what the mission and vision say. The question would be maybe to ask our students the same, and or our community members the same. We actually have, we did it during the last strategic plan. We will have to do it again in the next one. We may be doing as part of rebranding the logo. That's another way of looking at finding out from folks where the value is, or you know, in terms of that. So I think, and it comes back to you know, when you look at the Carver model, part of it is asking who are our customers and what do they think of the value.
I have a similar question, Steve Martin, a similar question, Jason, and that is specifically around the KPIs, the key performance indicators. when that was last reviewed and, what kind of deep dive we did and how that might, reflect today or as you look forward to 2030.
I mean, I think Laura spoke to it earlier about the program health. Programs in an institution. What do those look like? You know, when is the right time to maybe sunset a program? When's the right time to invest in? Those are all key indicators that we need to look at to help make financial decisions into the future. You know, faculty, staff, that all drives the operational costs of our institution. It's 75 to almost 80% of our. So looking at that and that data that's coming from those indicators and, you know, if we see a decline, okay, is that going to be long-term? Is that going to be, is that a blip? How do we continue to make sure we have our pulse? What are we doing on the outside to attract or look at our workforce? What's needed in our community? So I think there's a lot of performance indicators we need to look at when we're assessing what we currently have, but then also understanding from the outside community, what do we need to have? What could we be generating that a community is needed? You know, we'll have a shortage in our trade field very shortly here. Micron's going to take a lot of that away. So how do we make sure that we're reacting to that? I think virtual welding is a prime example of the success we've had with it. And we continue to try to invest dollars into that to make sure we can meet the demand that's out there. And hoping our communities have welders to build these projects that are coming into our communities, so.
But well, thank you. So I'm hearing there's a regular review of those KPIs, if you will.
Yeah, and I think we have to continue to refine. You know, there'll be a continued refinement of them. You know, it's not an annual basis, but, you know, probably on quarterly, you know, quick review of them. So we started to build dashboards and really starting to look at that, so.
And then my final would be, you spoke about the balance in the fund balance and, you know, that's idle cash, but that's certainly money that's investable. And so I'm delighted to hear that you're thinking about some other conservative opportunities as opposed to some that may not fit that category.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure we have guardrails in terms of what we can and can't do.
Yes.
Based on an institution and who we are. So I'm delighted to hear you might be exploring some of that. One of the challenges I think we have is that just by simple math, looking at, you know, a small increase in the budget next year, we're looking at a 27 to 28%. Fund balance is 28 to 20, 27 to 28% of our total budget.
Yeah.
And that is a significant number. So it's good to have that.
Yeah.
It's good to have it for a rainy day, but that is a little beyond what I recall some of our framework being in that.
Yeah.
About 15%.
Yeah.
So a good thing, but
Yeah.
the ability to factor that in ways that we can maybe settle that number a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it allows us to now start making some calculated risk investments
Yeah.
and things that we can now, you know, what could help grow us, what could help propel us forward, you know. Not everything's gonna be a home run, but there may be a home run that we hit with some investment. So being able to see that, but also, you know, as we talked about, right? When our fund balance started to build, we didn't have Reconnect yet. Reconnect started last year.
Good point.
We were looking at our traditional age students and that continued decline in that population. So Reconnect has kind of now helped us to rethink about, okay, we have a fund balance now. How long does Reconnect help support us through that traditional age student decline? That now we have to really consider, what's the fund balance there for? You know, is it to help us through rainy days? Yes, we should have a little bit there for to assist us through that. But it is something that we need to look at. How do we invest that now? And to help us think of ideas that lead us into the future.
Final would be the use of dollars might be considered in the board designated fund. the engagement of that exercise over the last now several years, I think all of us would say has certainly been a success. It gives you an opportunity and the entire college community to be involved. So I'd be one to say maybe more dollars in that particular way. To give our faculty, staff, and those that are invested every day an opportunity to maybe realize some of that investment.
Yeah, and there's still money left for our strategic plan, runs from this last strategic plan, and then we would look at, you know, in the future in the next strategic plan, potentially.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Just to follow up on what Donna started and Dr. and I spoke to also, I think we need to better define what the college is going to look like in the future. So then when we do make investments, we're making them in the right direction. And when we do have KPIs, they're building to the right direction. But what I think is lacking at this point that I think this board should probably focus on a bit, have some discussions about is what does it look like in not 2030, even beyond. Because it's different than what it is now. And then as we can get that defined, I think it makes it easier to put a strategic plan together. Well, you know, it's we're working hard, we're making great progress. We're not really sure. Yeah, I want it. Yeah.
Rich?
Jason, thank you for 10 minutes of thought-provoking presentation. And again, like the questions I've heard, and the way you've been able to dovetail that with what Dr. Ortiz presented, I'll ask you the same question. Can we get to a point for our next retreat where these issues can be dovetailed and give us some AI prompts that the board gets actual homework to do so that we can challenge ourselves to help you achieve what you're laying out for us?
Yeah. And
then I'm such a what's the next whiz bang thing? Please talk to us about the World Prism immersive simulation room when we get to the rest of it.
Okay, all right.
When are we gonna get it to?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So with that, Jason, why don't you go down through the resolutions for us?
All right. All right, so, the first one is related to a renewal for colleague system support services. So, you know, we are switching to Banner SAS, however, we still need to keep our current, system up to date and running. And patches and things. So the next kind of three, colleague, Pirelli, those are all to continue to help support that need. Would imagine that this does go away once Banner SAS comes in. We'll now be supported by our CCAS group that's part of SUNY. So that will now be supported through our Banner SAS and aware. So
Just a related question, can you give us just a summary status report on there?
So Banner, if the resolution is approved tonight, that will get us out of the gate. Implementation. So they're proposing a 6-month template building for all community colleges. And then once that is built, we'll be leading into each campus implementing Banner SAS. So their estimated timeline was April, May of 2028 that would go live, but we also need to factor in everything that the college and how we operate and what that looks like from an implementation timeline and when that goes live. So it's great when you look at a programmer and they say, hey, in 18 months we'll be done, but it's how does that work into the business model and fit nicely into everything. So. The next one is just a renewal of our quality captions transcription services for our students that may need these services as they're in the classrooms. Approve a contract with the Council for Adult and Experiential Learning for Credit Predictor Pro. So this is Cal. This is part of our, this is part of our momentum, academic momentum.
CPL,
Or,
for prior.
oh, CPL.
Okay.
So,
I had to look it up.
the exciting one on the agenda, so World Biz, and I don't know if Christie's on here, she'll be able to speak really well to it, but World Biz provides a simulation classroom that has been really led by Christy Parker and Maverick out of our partner program. And really being able to provide our students another experience that it's a live feed that and I'm gonna do more justice on explaining this, so we'll get Christy to explain it better, but you're immersed in an environment. You have screens all around you, projectors projecting an image across. I know one proposal I read, there was a scent machine that was in there that would throw scents out as you were going through. This was in a more of a paramedic environment and different smells that you would have, but, so, the proposal that came through and Dr. Ortiz and I reviewed it, I think will assist our students in giving them a different learning environment and really understand what they're doing, especially in our paramedic program. I don't have to bring an ambulance back of an ambulance in now because it's going to be showing on the screen and being able to be worked. So, I really am excited about seeing this technology. It looks like it will be installed sometime in October. That's when the first visit from World Biz will be out here to assess that. So by the spring semester, it's going to be installed on our main campus. Hopefully we'll be able to have Christy will have some classes that will be utilizing this technology.
Trustee guys, Jason, basically what you're saying, I'm gonna date myself here. This is like going to the holodeck at Star Trek. For those.
This is my hobby.
That's what it is. So you decide you want to be on an island, and we're really.
No,
There you are.
When you were on an island, or you wanted to see dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are, that's basically what we're talking about pretty much.
Yes.
So I got a little bit about it over the IT department. So right now with the anatomy, Christy Parker students are doing is they put on a headset
Right.
and they walk around the room. So you can see the physical room and the projection at the same time. It's not like you've ever tried VR, like a virtual video game, where you only see the game. You see the room and the projection at the same time. So that's how they're doing it right now. Unfortunately, the technology used to do that is no longer supported or available. Once it's done at the end of its life, this technology no longer exists. Microsoft no longer makes it. So the virtual room would be, they don't have to wear, I believe they don't even have to wear headgear anymore. They just walk into the room and they interact with the space in a virtual way without any physical devices.
That reminds me of the Van Gogh display when you
Yeah.
walk into that. Walk into that immersion, if you will.
Yeah, it's the same idea. There will be different anatomy or welding or whatever.
Yes, but
Different
the
classes.
applications are.
Yes. So they're currently figuring out where they're going to put it. Last time they moved it to
Oh, the physical space.
physical space, because it needs a room that meets certain requirements, so they were figuring out a room on campus that would support all these things.
Just one additional question. Will that immersive space be able to be used for multiple?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to verify that. Thank you.
Okay.
The next one is to approve our banner SaaS cloud services agreement. So our licensing and platform fees, around $302,000 annually, plus our CCAS conversion charges. So this is a CCAS FTE that will help us manage project management, and 25. we do see a reduction in our colleague licensing fees during this implementation. So that is reduced to about 59,000. So overall cost due to conversion, plus some of these other services is around 550,000. So the state is paying for the implementation and the software. So that was around $1.8 million that the state is contributing just to FLCC to do the implementation of the software.
Okay.
This is maybe our final lease renewal with between FLCC and New York Kitchen in our current space. So we may have a 6 months to get us through the fall semester of 27, but this will be one of the last ones. So, and then the last one is just our sponsor services. So Ontario County holds our workers' comp policy. This is just them billing us for that. Next items are informational. So I don't know if there's any questions on that or if you need me to go through each one of those.
Are there any questions on those? No. Okay. Okay, thanks very much, Jason. Any other comments or questions for anybody or carrying the agenda?
I think
If not,
I just have one.
you have one?
To add. Our spirit store renovation is going well. So just to give the board an update, the carpet is going down tomorrow, starting tomorrow. The shelves will come back in next week. So hopefully, you know, right before opening days, we'll have an opening of the spirit store. So still need some fire alarm JCI to come in and rehook that up, but that is going well. And then ribbon cutting for the culinary center will be happening next Monday, August 10th. So and we'll be at Public Works and Ways and Means next week for discussion on the greenhouse. So,
Very good.
horticulture complex.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Steve Harton votes.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I assume we're all in favor. Aye. Okay. Very good, thank you. Ooh, challenge is on. The green start, we have the stop. That for stop for just a second. I'll ask the board if they would like a 5-minute recess before we move into the full meeting, or we can move into the full meeting. Okay, this is trustee Richard Russell, and I am calling to order the August 5th, 2026 Board of Trustees for Finger Lakes Community College order. And Penny, please call the roll.
Call the order, the roll call, sorry. Fred,
Here, present,
Fred Bowman,
Fred Floyd.
Don Holland,
Adam Pollock present.
Joan Rice,
Joe Rice is present.
Rich Russell,
Rich Russell is present.
George Cushman,
George Cushman is present.
Lucille,
Lucille Mallon is present.
Steve Martin,
Steve Martin's here.
Jeff Astos,
Jeff is here.
Don Cass.
Don Cass is present. I will, say that, student trustee Jeff Geiger is necessarily absent as he is enjoying a family vacation. He'll join us in September. Next up will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I will be the. Here's our flag. It's coming.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to hold in abeyance the oath of office for trustee Heliar Geiger until September. Next up on business is privilege of the floor, and privilege of the floor is open to anyone online, any board member, any staff member who wishes to address the board on a topic that's been on your agenda. Take that as, no,
We're taking anybody take privilege of the floor that wasn't present. Well, we'll get this someday.
We've had online.
we had a couple. We have anybody?
Do we have anybody online?
We have someone online, but they're not raising their hand or anything. So
Okay, thank you. We'll move on. We have minutes from the June 3rd, 2026 meeting, and we have questions, comments on our minutes. Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll move, George.
Jeff Gastos, I'll second.
Additional questions, comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Next up, mandatory consent agenda, approval of resolutions and minutes from the committee meetings. So we've had an opportunity to provide questions and answers for all of the resolutions that appear for us tonight. So I would accept the motion to accept the mandatory consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Cass.
Did you get that, Penny?
Yeah, chaos, and then Joan guys.
Correct.
Final questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Great. Dr. Nye, how are you?
President Rob, I'm sure that I can get that on record. Well, good evening. It's really tough going last because everybody already said almost everything that I would have told you about at this point in time. But I'll elaborate from Rob and I's perspective so that you have an idea that what you're wanting to do is merge.
those are the.
Yeah.
Have a presentation?
Yes, please, I have presentations.
Oh, sorry. I don't have it.
It's in the packet.
I can speak right off the packet, don't worry. If you want to put it up on your screen, that would be great. I'm good. I don't even need it. First off, truly, what almost everything that's been said has already been discussed with you in one shape, size, or form or another. There is an important aspect that what you really want to see, in Rob Nye's opinion, is where's the convergence between where the chief academic officer and everything that's coming from the planning and education committee efforts with the finance and facilities efforts, and then with the president's efforts, not excluding you have other important people in this room with missions that fit into that, whereas advancements fits in, or where HR fits in, or where IT fits in, and it's important that they're all always connected in some shape, size, or form. And my slides, first slide I gave you, I went back 10 years ago. 2 months into my job, what I saw at the beginning was that we need to do everything we can to bring students here and then help them succeed, number one. Number two, strengthen the connections between the campus centers and the college. And number three, to focus on opportunity and innovation. I'd say that if I was going to grade myself in that at that point in time, I'd be about at 66%. I think we could do more to be able to support our campus centers and our viticulture center and our Mueller Field Station and anything I left out, because they're all important. They all fit into the bigger picture for the college. But why did I say back to the future, and why did I start 10 years ago? Because if we can get the 50 or 60% correct and what we think the future is going to be, we are going to be very, very successful. But if you think everything will be successful, it won't. That's why we have the strategic grant plan opportunities. That's why we have an initiative I'm going to talk to you about that I've already told you about before. In the future,
we have to continue to look forward, do things that are innovative, that are out front. We'll never be out in front completely. I've said this during open days. We need to be on the top of the wave. We will not be ahead of the wave. We don't have the resources to be ahead of the wave, but we darn well better be near the top of the wave so that we are maximizing how we can serve our students and our communities into the future. So, all of the opportunities and all the different things that are there. Oh, it came up. Cool. Can I use this now?
Yes.
Okay. Darn, now I'm gonna talk longer. I don't know how to move useful it will work.
That's your time issue.
That's my time issue. Well, that don't work.
But this is part of your presentation.
So keep going, next slide. Here's what I truly think. If you want to boil everything down into how we can talk about the future, we can talk about the past, we can talk about everything that we're doing. But if you want to be vital, it really boils down to Rob and I's opinion. How do we bring in as many students as we can to experience the goodness of FLCC while they're at FLCC and help them be successful and posture them to go out into their communities and make a difference in their community? Bottom line. And I would posture to you that if the things we do aren't focused on bringing students here across the spectrum that Laura talked about, then helping them succeed while they're here and helping to be even more effective with our community to get them jobs that are family sustaining wages and things that they want to do. And it'll never be perfect. That's what I think is most important. And everything we do that does not directly focus in those areas is, and I'm not saying we don't do anything, but those things that don't really feed directly back to that won't help the vitality of the college 5 to 10 years from now. And we're really vital right now because we are trying to focus on our enrollments, on our retention, and then doing things that are good for our community and good for our college. But now work it, or will you have to work? Okay, thanks. We already talked about the environment. We are not going to have the demographic cliff in our area, but we're going to have continuing declining population in our area overall, not just college age students. 25 to 44, if you want to look at a great website, there's plenty of others out there, but this one from Cornell, you can break down our counties by age groups and look at what the projections are. They're not perfect, but they give you an idea of what they're like. There's going to be a greater expectation for accountability for what we do, that our students get good jobs in terms of if we're getting students through appropriately. Think about Pell. If you want to get your Pell funding, 70% of your students must be successful in those programs to get the funding. Accountability is going to become much more of an issue in the future. And then we have increasing competitions with, do we really need a degree? We are stuck with the perceptions, even if we're a two-year college, that it's expensive and can I go get a great job with 1 or 2 courses, a micro credential or something of that nature. We're going to be competing against the same pool of resources that every single other college is going to be working with. But we have lots of great opportunities. I talked about them there. I'll just say that there's great opportunity between Syracuse and Rochester. It's already been talked about. We talked about it at the Workforce Investment Board today. And I will tell you that after 2 years of diving as deep as I could, AI is a wild card. That's a quote from a different article, that everything we thought 2 years ago, if you think back, is not what it is today with AI. And that's going to continue to be that way. But it doesn't mean we're not pursuing things and seeking opportunities, providing AI for education for our students and for our communities. Next slide. Thank you. All of these have already really been discussed in the past. So I don't think I need to really get into them, but I will say a couple of things that weren't. One, and it comes back, what's our proposition value? And then 2, I will tell you that it will become more important, and Jason talked about it a little bit, that when this spike in enrollment starts to go back down, it's going to be important for us to ensure that we do even better in our student retention or average. Okay. And it'll be the more that we are not average and we're better than average, that's important down the road. But I have to tell you, if you go back 15 years ago, we were at the bottom of the indicators that SUNY was using from all the community colleges. It takes time to move up, and we're working really hard to do that. Not saying we're perfect, but there's a heck of a lot of exceptional work that our faculty and staff are doing. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is we are doing a lot of opportunity innovative things. We don't give ourselves enough credit for what we're doing. You want to know why the general fund is at 27%? It's because we're doing the things we should be doing in the classroom, being innovative and seeking opportunity where it is. And you all have been a part of that in terms of strategic grant plans and just supporting us in what we're doing. And then second, we do have to rebrand in terms of we're starting with our college logo in terms of what is that, because that's our symbol, that's our sign. It's going to be on, it could be on the sign for the new culinary center after they have the groundbreaking ceremony on Thursday. We are out there working with innovative activities, working with our partners, working with our communities, and have created those connections, but they got to get better. I'll give you a great example. When Senator Helmy could call up and say, hey, I've got this dentist out there. We need to, can you look into a dental assistant program? Sure, we're working on it. Right now, Laura, I believe it's heading up towards the Department of Education for approval. And I got another call from another individual doing the same thing. And we're doing it. We're responding to our folks. But we have to do it better. We have to have more networks and tentacles out into our areas to be able to provide an even better perception and value proposition for what FLCC is. Now we go back to the future. While we are looking into the future and you want us to look into the future, I feel strongly about two things in my presentation. One, I already said, I feel strongly that our job is to bring as many students here, help them succeed and help them be successful when they get out of the world. And then number two, our job is to already be thinking, as I've said for years with the cabinet, everything we do needs to be 3 to 5 years out at a minimum. We're already looking into the future. And if you can't look at us and see that we're not looking into the future, then you need to be pressing us, because our job is to already be looking into the future and combining what this future is with strategy and tactics to be able to achieve what we do. And we're a really healthy college right now because of that. We are already investing. We've already talked about all the innovations. I'll get into them, but Ron and I feel it's important we leverage technology, because technology is going to be something that's going to continue to increase in our colleges, our classrooms, and how we learn, how we educate. Do I know exactly how? No. But if we're not out there being on that wave and getting that immersive classroom and already leaning forward for the second one, then we're wrong. And we're leaning forward for the second one. Jason get nervous about it, but I've already said lean forward for the second one. The enhanced workforce capability. We have hired an associate provost, got it right, Laura, I got it wrong today, for workforce development. Why? Because we need to elevate our game. We need to be thinking more strategically about where we are putting our resources. And we also have to leverage that technology. And we need more welding programs, the digital welding program. So our next step hopefully is a hybrid diesel and electrical vehicle program. But then how do we do that in all the other trades? Another thing we have to think in the future. The biggest issue the county has today, our county, is housing. When they get that log jam done, take care of energy, then we have to be prepared to help provide those programs, short-term, long-term, whatever it is, that will support building those houses, that will then allow people to support the microns and the things that are going on in Rochester with optics. We do have new programs. We revised our robotics and mechanical engineering program. I didn't quite say that right, RMEC, robotics and mechanical engineering technology program to work with micron. For instance, we have to look at other new programs that are out there. For instance, if you have that corridor between Syracuse and Rochester, there's going to be a lot of different things I've talked about in secondary and tertiary programs that we might not be the micron, but are we doing the diesel repairs? Are we doing logistics and supply management that helps along that corridor, for instance? Those are the things we need to be thinking about. Talk about rebranding, SUNY funding. We leverage that SUNY funding to help bring more capability for our students to succeed, and it hasn't been approved yet. So I haven't told you exactly what that is yet, but please trust us. It's getting done, and it's being done towards what you would want. And then finally, when it comes to the future, and knowing that our general fund is rising, and having discussed this with you and having said, I'm thinking about, we're taking as a step, because you can't do it all at once, okay? But we're taking what our revenue profits are for this year, 1.5 million, and reinvesting that back into the college. In enrollments, student success, and vitality. And we're still finalizing that. I'd like to provide that to you at the September meeting of what that is, and we'll have new job descriptions. Like Laura mentioned, she mentioned Fuse. Well, those are more coaches and mentors for our students, more contacts for students, the more viable and more ability we have to help our students succeed. We have, when you talk about technology, we're looking at AI to have an AI resource that will help create more responsive and ease of students from interest of FLCC to getting into the classroom. We won't get quite all the way there, but there'll be an AI agent that will be developed to help do that, because our students don't always work when we want them to come to our college to come get help and support. So we are working on things that will help our college be more successful. That's $500,000 over 3 years. So it's 500 year one, 500 additional 500 year two, and additional 500 year three. They're grant positions and activities, because what I'm asking is make sure when we talk about KPIs, what is it that we are doing that we say this is good and we should keep it, like we have through the strategic grant plans. So that is my presentation. Rich, I think that was within time. Subject to questions, I did not have a trick question for you because I was too passionate about what I was talking about.
Go for it, please.
Steve Martin, not a question, but an observation. The coordination of all the presentations tonight, hearing from the board in terms of forward looking, not just 3, but 5 years and even beyond, was remarkable. Again, in my short time, it's never been quite this coordinated. And capped off by Dr. Nye's summation there, it's really comforting, if you will, to know that that attention is there. So board has indicated that, and as others have, and it's underway. So it's an observation, and so that's it.
Yeah, it actually puts more of an onus on us. These conversations, Steve, because and that's what should happen. It puts more of an onus.
Yeah, I agree. I do think there's still the 60,000 foot view.
Yeah.
This is not our day job, but I agree with you. I think there's an opportunity to certainly present, and I agree.
Trustee Katz.
Chair Russell, I'd like to thank you for doing this. I think what Steve just talked about is helping us move farther, faster.
Don't thank me, thank everybody in this room, because everybody's had a finger in this pot. I'll get that a little later on.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Ready to move on, probably to the critical part of, not probably, but to the critical part of where this board is now and where it wants to see itself in 1, 2, 5, 10 years. So board development working group, an advisory group only, has authored a core policy governance core principle statement. Presented to the board development committee. Committee looked at it, weighed it, considered it, and passed it to the full board for review tonight. I set the table. I'm going to turn it over to Board Development Chair Mahalik to present.
Thank you. This has been an interesting challenge. And I keep Trustee Astel's comment that we need to have progress made by the end of June 30th, 2027 in mind. So we are trying to work out a schedule of what work needs to be done for board development so that we can meet that timeline. It won't be completely done, but we will have made progress in all the areas that we've determined needed to happen. But what we found was that without having an overarching statement of what we're doing, that it was difficult to be able to focus. So once we have your approval on this resolution, and we have a statement that we all feel comfortable with, we can go ahead with our own schedule of how we're going to specifically address additional work that we're gonna bring to you every month. Any questions on the principal statement?
And feel, this is trustee guys, feel free to make comments if you don't like a word here or word there. Nobody's feelings will be hurt. You know, we've already gone through a couple of changes, a word here, a word there, so, you know, look it over very carefully, because this is gonna guide us hopefully for the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. So, you know, give it some thought.
You see, Trustee Russell, and I'm not gonna let anybody at this table get away without saying something.
So my comment would be, I'm okay with what it is now. I think it's important for us every year to at least take a look at it. I understand it's the guiding principle statement, but it certainly is incumbent upon us to take an annual review.
I'm guessing that the policy group and the board development committee will have that front and center for review on a yearly basis or whatever.
Some kind of rhythm.
Yeah, whatever they want, whatever they bring forward to us, so.
Is it Donna who should take, this is trustee guys, Donna, who should take the suggestions as people read this through? Do you want them to all come to you to filter, or how do you want to do this?
My impression was that we were going to have a final discussion of it tonight and vote on the adoption, but I am taking notes on suggestions to make sure that, for example.
Yeah,
we
outside
include
the
that.
scope.
Yes,
We
yes.
have 2 laptops also taking.
We do have 2 laptops taking notes, yes. I also, while you're thinking, will give you, just a little bit of insight. I really appreciate the research that, the committee members have made. So kudos to George and Joan for the amount of time and energy that they put into this and that we anticipate happening throughout the next year. So, as Joan said, nobody's taking offense. We've had our own disagreements and wordsmithing happening. And we feel that the wording is actually very important. If we could go around the room.
Trustee Mahalik, why don't you read it to us?
I
And we'll
read
we'll go for it.
the FLC Board of Trustees Board Principal Statement. So the FLCC Board of Trustees governs Finger Lakes Community College through written policy rather than case-by-case decisions. The board's primary responsibility is to define the outcomes the college exists to achieve and to establish clear boundaries within which those outcomes are pursued. All authority for achieving those outcomes is delegated to the president, who is accountable to the board through regular policy-based monitoring. This governing philosophy is designed to be clear enough that any trustee or president can understand their role and responsibilities from their first day in office, and durable enough to guide the college through periods of leadership transition.
First,
Okay.
none of us are gonna be here forever. Yeah, I know Jeff is question. And part of this is, I don't think, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think we've done enough here to look for the future as far as bringing people along. Like, do we have people here sitting in this area that should be moving into higher positions or more, different positions of authority? We don't really do a lot of that here, and we need to start looking at the future and saying, okay, in 3-5 years, are we gonna have people ready to take on these responsibilities? Someone I know was hired by a local company and told in 5 years, this is where you're gonna be. And we're gonna bring you along because we wanna put you in this position. And so we're kind of looking at kind of some of that stuff too. Also for our own board members, bringing our own board members up to date on more things. I mean, I think for most of us, we are up to date on a lot of things, but what can we do also? And this is kind of a forward thing where we wanna, continue to push things forward, looking not just now, but down the road. Am I kind of summarizing the kind of thought there, Don?
Yes, I think, what Joan is saying makes perfect sense. We seem to feel, that as a board, we are at a really excellent point. I think we all agree with that. And we want to capture that for anyone who comes in, so that any staff person who comes in, any member of the leadership team comes in, there is no question as to how the board expects things to happen at FLCC. That whatever comes down from the state or federal rules or boards that they've been on elsewhere, that this is what we have found to be successful for a high functioning board to take the college where it needs to go in the future. And so when someone new arrives at FLCC, there's something that they can written that they can look at, something online that they can see. This is what's expected, and this is how we carry it out. And that may or may not be a surprise to them. I know other people, when people have come on the board, they've said, oh, well, I've been on boards before, this is very different. I think maybe almost all of us have said that when we came on this board. So this is a way for us to begin making sure that when our board members come on, they know what they need to focus on, and then everyone else will understand why we do what we do. Is that?
I think there's part of it too, yeah. And we realize that, no, I talked about, let other people have a say.
I just say that it's just, it's coming with, there'll be a regular cadence of developing these policies that list out exactly what we do, how we do it. And we're gonna need everybody's input on that. So we don't make any decisions. We're not a mini board. We need one of them. So as we bring things forward, they'll be thought through, but we may not capture everything. So we're just gonna need that input back. And I think what's gonna be important is that each of us really think through the questions that need to be asked. So as we get these finalized, we have something that has been completely vetted by this board.
I'm Sue Mallard, and being new on the board, been out till missed meetings. I think this is super, and coming on to a board, like you said, you've been on many boards before, but this is totally different for me. And as we were driving over, I was saying, I'm a person who's listening, trying to take in as much information as I can, so I can understand what this board is all about. So something like this will benefit new people. So I appreciate it.
Well, like everything else that's happened tonight, two things about the statement. One is it talks about how the future is going to work as opposed to how we work today. And the other thing I think it does is it sets the framework so that when we look at other policies that we either want to modify or create or do away with, it gives us a framework for making those decisions. And that's important in terms of looking towards the future.
Thank you.
Trustee Cass, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that's been said. One thing I'd like to see happen, we need to see this in writing all the time. So let's make a big plaque, put it in the boardroom so we see it. I think it's that important that we do.
Or put it on the beginning of every thing as well.
It's not my business, but I would suggest to read it like you did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Because we have had
Bad idea.
the mission and vision of the college and the behaviors expected of the board on every board meeting packet for almost 10 years.
Right.
And so, but it gets lost. So I would suggest we do that. Good idea. Read it every time.
Trustee Will?
It's great. You could wordsmith for hours that you don't need to do this. It's perfect. It's a great prologue. It's a great, table setting piece. I like it a lot. I think that I like Joan's comment about, she knew someone who was recently hired. There was a 5-year program, orientation to mastery, and so we probably ought to look at how do we operationalize this statement? And over what period of time and to what effect?
As it relates to the board.
As it relates to the board. And we have to really guard against that because we don't want to, we really want to keep that level elevated. That's what Carver had in mind. Carver had in mind that boards would seek elevation and they would develop themselves at a very high level. And also at the simultaneously, they would protect their CEO. That's what the board says. So they kind of had two roles. One was to make sure the CEO did not fail. And the other one was to continue to improve and bring clarity and definition and strength to policy. So I think if we can emulate Harvard in an academic setting, I think we would have accomplished a lot. And then I think that also needs to be publicly celebrated and acknowledged on a regular basis. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, everyone. It was great to hear your opinions. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, sir. Our ex officio member of the committee.
This is Trustee Russell, and it's always nice to go last because everybody said everything that needs to be said. I'll just finish by saying that this statement is really a challenge for this board and future boards. And I would place that responsibility for challenging us clearly on the government and staff to be better at elevating our games so that we are helping our CEO achieve the goals that we feel are necessary to keep this organization vibrant.
Amen. Reform of their needs.
Well, we have a resolution,
We have a resolution.
and thank goodness somebody printed it out so they can read it.
Do you want me to read the whole resolution?
Absolutely,
Okay.
please do.
So, adoption of a policy governance core principle. Whereas the Finger Lakes Community College Board of Trustees wishes to be future focused and to ensure that its governance structure remains clear, well understood, and durable throughout and whenever any changes occur in board membership and institutional leadership. And whereas the board wishes to ensure that its governance roles, its delegation of authority to the president, and its expectations for institutional performance are clearly defined, written, and durable beyond the tenure of any individual trustee or president. And whereas the board has reviewed the principles of policy governance, which distinguish between the board's responsibility to determine organizational ends and the president's responsibility to determine the means by which those ends are achieved. And whereas the board believes that adopting this governing philosophy will strengthen institutional continuity, sharpen accountability, and allow the board to devote greater attention to the college's long-term direction. Now, therefore be it resolved that the FLCC Board of Trustees adopts the core principle statement above as the governing philosophy of the board, effective immediately upon passage of this resolution. Be it further resolved that the board authorizes a small advisory working group comprised of designated trustees and such other participants as the board deems appropriate to begin developing draft policies consistent with this core principle statement, organized according to the 4 policy categories of policy governance, which are ends, executive limitations, board president linkage, and governance process. Be it further resolved that the advisory working group shall operate in an advisory capacity only, shall not be vested with decision-making authority on behalf of the board, and shall bring all draft policy recommendations to the full board for deliberation and action in public session. Be it further resolved that the advisory working group shall report progress to the full board at each regular meeting with the goal of presenting an initial set of draft policies for board discussion within the time frame established by the board. Be it further resolved that adoption of this core principle statement reflects the board's commitment to the underlying philosophy of policy governance and does not constitute final approval of any specific policy language, which shall remain subject to full board review and adoption. Date August 5th, 2026.
This is trustee Russell. I'll call for a motion.
I saw little trustee Dice.
I second. Brazil Mallon.
Thank you. Do we have additional comments, questions, discussion?
It's a great resolution.
Yeah. If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a core principle statement.
done.
Thank you very much.
I would also just like to add our thanks to President Nye for his support and his patience in us getting to this point. So thank you very
It's just really, I listened to a lot.
I'll take a picture of me.
much.
So we have just committee and liaison reports left. Do we have any committee and liaison reports that have not been reported?
I'll just give a brief one. Steve Martin for the audit and enterprise risk. We met last month and Jason along with Dr. Nye presented some of the internal risks, the annual risks. And that's a document that I think we can get out to the entire board instead of doing after today's meeting. It was succinct and it's a nice opportunity every year for us to take a look at it. Also maybe an opportunity in a small workshop. We'll do. Good job.
Foundation, some trustee Dice, some of you may remember I spoke before that the golf tournament has been moved to September. Okay, I know several of you have participated in playing golf before. We hope you will again. If you cannot participate in the golf tournament, you could put a basket together for our silent auction. Drop it off at the foundation office and it will make its way to Ravenwood. If you can't do a whole basket, if you're willing like to bring a couple bottles of wine or some gift cards or something like that, I'm sure we will be very happy to see that those all get into baskets too, but I now forgot the date. It's a Monday, right?
Yeah, September 28th, I believe.
I remember it was a Monday.
And you're-
So it's a Monday. in September.
Ravenwood.
David looked at. Okay, they will be coming up.
Any additional reports?
Yes, September 28th.
September 28th.
Is that the deadline for the ethics certificates?
Probably you should give it about a week ahead of time if you want verbally. Yeah, probably a week ahead of time.
So before I call for adjournment, I would just like to thank the indulgence of particularly Penny because she's worked iteration after iteration of these agendas. I'd like to thank Dr. Nye for working with me. I'd like to thank cabinet and staff for adhering to what I hope to be our standard operating procedure in the future. I'd like to thank the board for just being the board and being able to grasp the reality of where we're going. And I would say if you have comments, questions, The comment could be good or bad, they read all the cranky emails. I dearly would appreciate the input of everybody in this room as to how we can improve with the agenda process to drive the forward-looking process. And so that will do it.
Before you go,
Sure.
want to do any news? Want to do any news?
Yes.
Okay.
What are we doing? Oh. Oh. Sorry. So long that I still thought they were secret.
I don't think they are. To be celebrated.
Please do us the honor, Dr. Nye.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. We have some really exciting news. First off, we'll start with trustee Joan Geis, who's being recognized for one of the trustee awards. Nice. And we,
Like to thank whoever put me forward, probably Donna. And, I've always been happy to be on the board. And, I was very pleased the last time I was board chair, Dr. Nye and I instituted an educational, meeting with the Board of Supervisors, which is where I met Fred. And got Fred really interested in what was going on here, and, he decided to join us. And with the, chairman of the board of, the supervisors, we met with them a few times, and I think maybe that helped bring together what we're gonna see at the lakefront, perhaps what we'll see with the greenhouse. And if I helped in any little way,
Here.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be when the awards take
what day will it be?
17th of September
I'll be on my way
to.
Europe, to Spain and Portugal.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend that we do a video of Joan.
In Spain and Portugal.
Before you leave.
So give her an opportunity for a
Before
speech,
you leave.
some acceptance.
Yes, an acceptance, yes.
I'll give you a speech, Joan. We can look at very professional.
I'm sure you can be professional. I have to write a speech in there.
He'll give you the time.
Okay.
So the second one, speaking about students and being able to recognize my first board chair, who stayed on for a third year, just to help me get started and help me get where I am today. But that students, which you've heard about a video for Joan and everything, is the type of trustee that Donna has been, and she has been a leader leading ISIT, and now is a leader in the Audit Finance Committee at the National Association, ACCT. And she is being recognized as the Northeast Awardee, Trustee Awardee for ACCT in Chicago in October. And is a candidate for the most prestigious award that you can get for a trustee based on being a Northeast nominee.
Dan and I can tell you stories about the first convention you went, but that'll be for another time.
Off the record, it's a huge geographic area. Congratulations.
That's a bird.
Glad you're in the rock.
Bringing back to Harvard.
But my reaction, was exactly Fred's, was, wow, this can't possibly be me. Because I feel that there are plenty of excellent candidates in this Northeast region. That's trustees who've done wonderful things. So I thank you to those of you who decided to put my name forward. It's certainly an honor. I'm a little stunned by it. But thank you. And it's because I so enjoy the work. I never really thought it would become this important part of my life, and made excellent colleagues and friends along the way, so including all of these. Thank you very much.
Well, there's no other business to come before this board, I will now accept the motion for adjournment.
Steve Martin, so moved.
Second.
Favor? Aye. Adjourned, here is sir. We vote you all.